I don't think that Bitcoin, I've said this before, is widely used as a transaction mechanism. To the extent it's used, I fear it's often for illicit finance. It's an extremely inefficient way of conducting transactions.
Bitcoin has been a big thing, a big topic of discussion. He's never been a fan of Bitcoin. And a few years ago, I think he called it rat poison. This time he came out and was a little quieter at first. He said, he said, it's the equivalent of digital gold. And since I never buy gold, I would never buy any Bitcoin, and I would recommend others do the same. Then he went on to quote Oscar Wilde on fox hunting, and he said it's basically the pursuit of the uneatable by the unspeakable, and added, we will not be following Tesla into Bitcoin.
Which do you think is crazier, Bitcoin at 50,000 or Tesla's fully diluted enterprise value of 1 trillion? What do you make of these two pricings?
Well, I have the same difficulty that Samuel Johnson once had when he got a similar question. And he said, I can't decide the order of precedency between a flea and a louse. And I feel the same way about those choices. I don't know which is worse.
Of course, I do want to start with Bitcoin. That was a big announcement after earnings yesterday. Square's adding about $170 million worth of crypto to its balance sheet. We all know Jack Dorsey was really an early Bitcoin believer, but I'd love to know your thinking behind increasing Square's exposure to crypto, especially from sort of a risk management perspective. This has been a week where Bitcoin's volatility has been on display.
Well, we feel that Bitcoin is aligned with our purpose, which is economic empowerment. Economic empowerment is about bringing access to financial tools more broadly, including to people who haven't had it before. And we think Bitcoin is a way that could enable that for the future. This investment, coupled with our earlier investment in Bitcoin, is about 5% of our cash. And when you think about the growth of Bitcoin on our platform, we've been enabling our customers to transact Bitcoin for about 3 years now. And we've responded to the feedback that we've gotten, and we've seen increased awareness. We had 3 million people transacting Bitcoin through Cash App in 2020, and 1 million who were new to Bitcoin in January. So we're going to be disciplined in our approach and ultimately customer-led as we see this ecosystem evolve.
Got it. I know you called it the currency of the internet. Really interesting. We also had a big quarter for Square's Cash App. Monthly active users now 36 million. That was up about 50%. Stock trading has been a big part of that. We have talked a lot about retail trading, especially in sort of the GameStop saga. There were some analyst notes out that week about Square potentially benefiting from users leaving Robinhood. I wonder what happened sort of on your side during that last week in January. What did you see as far as trading behavior on Square?
Sure. Our stocks product through Cash App is really about opening the aperture for trading. We started that with fractional shares, and we've added news and other ways for people to make informed decisions, including information about stock trading, educational materials. And what we saw in January was very strong performance. We set new highs for number of customers using our stock trading platform, for number of trades, and for volumes. And it's increasingly become a front door into Cash App. 15% of those customers in January who are new to our stock trading platform were also new to Cash App. And what we see is that customers who transact using our investing products like Bitcoin and stock trading are more engaged on our platform overall. So it gives us a chance to offer them other products and services like Cash Card or direct deposit to provide them greater daily utility in their financial services lives.
Federal Reserve saying an operational error brought down its entire payment system. In a statement, the Federal Reserve says a Federal Reserve operational error resulted in disruption of service in several business lines. We are restoring services, they say, and are communicating with all Federal Reserve financial service customers about the status of operations. A Fed spokesman said they are indeed in the process of restoring those operations. The outage impacted Fed accounting services, including retail cash and the Fed wire, where banks transfer money electronically between themselves. The Fed said in a statement the cause is a, quote, Federal Reserve operational error. Unclear what the overall impact is. Fed officials did not appear to suggest there were systemic concerns with the financial system, especially since they believe the system will be fully restored soon and is currently being restored. Fed said it acknowledges that payment deadlines are impacted and it's going to communicate remediation efforts to its customers. Unclear if this ever happened before, Tyler. The New York Fed, you remember, was embarrassed, deeply embarrassed, in 2016 when hackers were able to break into the central bank in Bangladesh and trick the New York Fed into wiring more than $100 million. This is a separate sort of problem they're having, apparently, with their payment system. Tyler?
The natural question here, Steve, is there is no evidence, is there, that this was an outside hack? The Fed apparently going out of its way to say this was an internal error, an operational error, which sounds like somebody got fat fingers.
Tyler, I think you're absolutely correct to note the comments by the Fed there that they are not suggesting this is an outside problem. This is a problem that originated inside the Fed. It looks to be something connected with the Richmond Fed, where they appear to be in charge of this this payment system.
Now I know, the U.S. dollar is the reserve currency of the world, and I think we hope that doesn't change anytime soon. But with that being said, a lot of other countries are just leaps and bounds ahead of us when it comes to digital currency. A couple of them, I think of the digital yuan, Sweden's e-krona, also in Ukraine, and even in Uruguay in the e-peso. Is there any worry that the U.S. is falling way behind the rest of the world in the development of a CBDC? And does this staggered start, do you think that puts the U.S. at a disadvantage?
No, I don't. We are the reserve currency of the world, and that is because of our great democratic institutions, our vibrant economy, and just that we are the incumbent, and we have relatively low inflation. The value of the dollar has been relatively stable for some years now, and so I think we will be that. I think it's a very, very important decision that we make, and there are potential pitfalls. There are issues around privacy and how you structure it, and it would be to do it as quickly as possible and get it wrong would be a very bad idea. So we're going to be careful. I do think that we have the time to think this through carefully. I'm not concerned that other countries are experimenting with this. But I have to say, it's possible now. Technology has made it possible, and it's happening, and the private sector is doing it too. So we understand that we need to be in a position of really understanding it and doing it if it's the right thing for Americans.
Thank you.
How can Bitcoin be a currency? What is it?
I wouldn't call Bitcoin an alternative currency. I think, if anything, it's an alternative to gold or a digital gold. I think that would be the better comparison. You do have the same or similar supply constraints, and it is something that investors have been looking to as they worry about fiat currencies being devalued by all this central bank printing. But Bitcoin, look, if you're speculating on it, a lot of people out there have made a lot of money on it. As an institutional investor, I think we don't know yet if it's going to be digital gold. It may be over time, but I don't think we can say that with confidence yet. And that affects our view on whether or not we think our clients should own it.
All right. So going forward, what will be the trigger that'll signify that this is digital gold and will give a green light to Bridgewater to start investing client money in it?
Well, I don't think there's one green light that would have Bridgewater invest in it, but I think there are a couple things we'd definitely be watching carefully. First, we wanted to see lower volatility. I mean, right now, Bitcoin can move 10% on a tweet. That's not exactly a storehold of wealth for most institutional investors. So the volatility of Bitcoin is about 10 times that of euro dollar. It's still double that of the Venezuelan bolivar. So that gives you an idea. You want to see a lower volatility, more stable asset if you want to consider it as a storehold of wealth, a diversifier. I think secondly, and these are related, you want to see greater liquidity. And I think, and that takes me to the third thing, which is regulatory certainty. The more you get a real regulatory ecosystem developing around Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, the more other types of investors are going to be comfortable coming in. That's going to bring the liquidity. That's going to reduce the volatility. So I guess if there were one thing I were watching first, it would be seeing more regulatory certainty. And I'm not sure when that's going to come in the U.S.